this, why has this government reversed the position on naming extremist organisations? We now have a ridiculous situation where the government claims it has a policy of non-engagement with extremists, but refuses to say who that policy applies to. Last month, we saw this confusion laid bare. When the Home Office was asked whether it engaged with the Muslim Council of Britain, two different ministers gave contradictory answers. When asked whether the MCB had given written evidence to the MacDonald Review into hate crime, the policing minister stated, "The government's policy of non-engagement with the Muslim Council of Britain has not changed." But just 2 days later, when asked whether the Muslim Council of Britain was on the list of organisations subject to that policy, the security minister replied, "The Home Office does not comment on specific groups." So which is it? Jonathan Hall KC, the government's independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, has warned that any definition should include clear examples of free speech that are not considered anti-Muslim hatred. He said it is important that people can still openly discuss difficult but significant topics such as migration and Islamism. So it risks undermining free speech within the law. It risks hindering legitimate criticism of Islamism. Madam Deputy Speaker, we should be investing in English language training, not endless translation. Meanwhile, around 1 million adults in this country cannot speak English properly. This fundamentally limits their life chances and it perpetuates separate communities. Britain is a multi-racial country, but it must not become a multicultural one. We must reject the absurd idea that culture is something imported from somewhere else. For integration to work, people must know what they are integrating into. That means a culture that is confident, a culture that is strong, and that is what we're willing to defend.
Secretary said,
there is absolutely no question of blasphemy laws by the back door, but we will not do what they did and stand by and simply watch while Muslim communities face targeted abuse in ways that any decent country would consider to be absolutely intolerable. And as for English language teaching, they cut funding for it by 60%, and they have the cheek to stand up there and say there's not enough of it going on. Now, when I was a student, I volunteered to teach English to refugees. I suggest he might go out and do the same thing because it's very enriching for the volunteer. It's beneficial for the person that learning English, and speaking the same language is fundamental to social cohesion.